Local. Breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 today.
At 4:30, we want to get straight to our Commitment 2024 coverage this morning.
One of the presidential candidates took the stage early this morning.
So I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Here is where we stand right now. Kamala Harris with 224 electoral votes. Donald Trump with 267.
And as you can see on your screen, some states still out. You have Arizona with 11 electoral votes, Nevada with 6 electoral votes, Wisconsin with 10, Michigan with 15. Those have yet to be called. But as you can see on your screen, former President Donald Trump close to that 270 number to be elected the next president of the United States. Trump had this to say about bringing the country together.
We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that.
One of the interesting things just overnight tracking this is we saw these numbers come in for a lot of these states incredibly quickly. Pennsylvania being one of those. We saw other battleground states like North Carolina and Georgia called relatively quickly as well.
Yeah, North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina winning the electoral vote there with Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And now turning to the U.S. Senate, here is what we are seeing at the moment. Republicans have won the majority. They have seized control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. NBC News is reporting at the moment that the Republican has 51 votes there of the seats, 100 seats that is. Democrats have 41.
Yeah, we've been looking at this as well. The Republican win was clinched after GOP candidates flipped Senate seats in both Ohio, Bernie Moreno there, West Virginia, Jim Justice. That gives the GOP a lead role in confirming the next president's cabinet, as well as any Supreme Court justice if there is a vacancy there. Something else we're following, the U.S. House as well. As you can see right now on your screen, there are 435 seats in the U.S. House. NBC confirming 200 of those will go to Republicans, and then 173 as of right now in the Democrats' hand, with 60 of those in play.
Now let's go to Greenville County, where only 2 races were contested for county council. Districts 22 and 24 were on the ballot.
Yeah, we begin with the District 22 seat this morning. Republican Frank Farmer beat out Democrat Corinne DeBatey. Farmer took home 60% of the votes, and Farmer's win means he'll fill the seat of outgoing Stan Juvalakis. Now, this area generally represents North Main, Wade Hampton near the city of Greenville, the north side of I-385, and Pelham Road out to Boiling Springs Road.
That's right, and during his campaign, Farmer said he wanted to increase security and improve local infrastructure by putting funding toward the roads. Farmers talked about his priorities for the next 4 years.
We'd love to reduce the taxes from this last tax increase. I think we are going to have a surplus, so that means that there's a place to cut back on.
Now, for the District 24 Republican, Liz Seaman easily won re-election, beating out Constitution candidate John Langville. Now, this council will look different, as there will be at least 4 new faces starting next year after 3 incumbents lost in the primary.
Something else on the ballot, Greenville County voters had the chance to decide on a 1% sales tax increase to raise money for road improvements.
Also known as a penny sales tax, the measure that would go towards repairing more than 1,400 road projects across the county did not pass. Here was the actual ballot referendum. Must be a special 1% sales and use tax be imposed in Greenville County for not more than 8 years to raise money for road improvements. And this is a slim margin, with 100% of the county reporting a slim majority of 51% are not in favor of the measure.
Such close votes there. A special commission estimated if this measure had passed, it would generate roughly $1 billion. But again, as you can see on your screen this morning, Greenville County voters have rejected that penny sales tax by a narrow margin.
At 4:34, we are turning now to one of the most closely watched races in our region, North Carolina's race for governor.
Incumbent Roy Cooper could not run again because of a term limit, and our projected winner in that race this morning is Josh Stein. So North Carolina's Attorney General is now the governor-elect.
Stein beat out challenger Mark Robinson with 55% of the vote. Our Rashad Williams reports from the Stein Watch Party in North Carolina's capital.
Josh Stein took this race by more than 10% of the vote over Mark Robinson. He had quite the introduction on stage. A local HBCU marching band brought him out along with North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Josh Stein talked about unity amongst North Carolinians, regardless of political affiliation. He emphasized his plans to really hone in on what he calls North Carolina issues. That includes good jobs, strong public schools, public freedom, and reproductive rights. Stein says North Carolina chose progress over hate this election day.
We chose hope over hate, competence over chaos, decency over division. That's who we are as North Carolinians.
Bringing it closer to home for our viewers, Josh Stein also took time to mention Western North Carolina and how he plans to continue pushing for aid in the region on the heels of Hurricane Helene. Despite the victory and the celebration at the end of his speech, Josh Stein said it is back to business right after Election Day. In downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
And it's about the state that you love. A state that I fully intend to continue to serve for the next 2 months. And who knows, maybe in the future once again, somewhere in office. Who knows? I don't know.
After his loss, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson said he was holding his head high but was disappointed for the people of North Carolina. His race was plagued with controversy, including a recent story done by CNN. That report said Robinson commented on a porn site more than a decade ago, saying he was a black Nazi, among other things. Robinson denies those allegations.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, 4:36. Hey, if you're heading out the door anytime between now and, say, 9 o'clock or so, we got some patchy fog out there. Visibility less than half a mile in Spartanburg, less than half a mile in Lawrence, and in Greenwood as well, about half a mile in Greenville. So just know the atmosphere is kind of soupy. We've got a lot of moisture in the air. Some of that's going to come down in the form of some of these isolated showers, like what we're seeing in Hendersonville and Rutherfordton right now. So some patchy fog in some of these areas and a little bit of rainfall as well. As we go throughout the day today, it's going to be warm. Temperatures in the lower 70s. I think the best chance of more of us seeing some rainfall will come late tonight and during the overnight hours. But that fog is going to be around for the next few hours, and it's going to be warmer today than yesterday. Look at that, low to mid 70s for Western North Carolina as well. A lot more details on today, the rest of the week, the weekend, and the tropics. The latest on Hurricane Raphael. It's all coming up in just a little while.
Perla, thank you. Still ahead, South Carolina selecting its next leaders. A look at the U.S. House District 3 and 4 races as William Timmons and Sherry Biggs have secured the vote in our area.
It's 4:40. Welcome back. Continuing our Commitment 2024 coverage, South Carolina's 4th District includes a majority of Greenville and Spartanburg counties.
Yeah, we saw this race between incumbent Congressman Republican William Timmons and Democrat Catherine Harvey. You know, Catherine Harvey is the chairwoman of the Spartanburg Democratic Party, so a high-profile race here. That said, the projected winner, William Timmons, with 60% of that vote, 206,200 votes, to Catherine Harvey at 37% with 128,460 votes, and then 3% Mark Hackett.
Our Jane Robelo is reporting from Spartanburg County.
Representative William Timmons really appreciating that big voter support that sends him to Washington for a 4th consecutive term in the U.S. Congress. He joined supporters and fellow GOP candidates at Holiday Brewing in Enman right after the polls closed. This is where the Spartanburg County GOP held their watch party. It was very important for the congressman to come here to thank these folks since Spartanburg gave him his primary win over Adam Morgan. And on election night, he thanked them for the general election win.
Hey, we are so excited that the 4th Congressional District has given us their trust yet again. It is an honor and privilege to serve. I've been fighting in Washington for the upstate for 6 years, and we're going to keep fighting for the next 2 years. I got to tell you, I'm so excited about the potential that President Trump's back in the White House, that we have the Senate, and that we have the House. We're going to work hard to really save the American dream, to breathe life into the American dream. The last 4 years have been hard for all of us, whether it's inflation, whether it is the economy, whether it's energy prices, whether it's the southern border. Whatever has been the number one issue for you, we're going to work hard to solve those problems for you and to really save the American dream and get our country back on track. And I just want to say it's an honor to serve, and we're going to keep fighting for the upstate. And thank you for your support.
And Representative Timmons says he will work with House Democrats to try and solve some of the biggest issues that are facing Americans, the deficit, the immigration crisis, and also health care. In Inman, Jane Robelo, WYFF News 4.
And staying in the 4th Congressional District, our Gabrielle Komorowski was following Democratic challenger Catherine Harvey and has this report from Spartanburg.
Catherine Harvey said despite a loss, this race is proof that the upstate is ready for change. The Democrats saying they will continue to fight until seats flip. Harvey, who has been the chair of the Spartanburg County Democratic Party since 2022, had called this race a fight for women and families and reproductive freedoms. And her message to supporters and to William Timmons was, we are not going anywhere.
We ran an aggressive but clean campaign. That was very important because people need to know how that can be done up here and it can start to make a movement. That was critical for us. We held our 3-term congressmen accountable at every single turn. And that doesn't stop. My hope is that he shows up and better represents all of us after this.
Harvey said the goal remains to remember the best interests of the people of this rapidly growing district. She said it has been an honor to be in this race. In Spartanburg, Gabrielle Komorowski, WYFF News 4.
Hey, if you're heading out the door, we have some patchy fog. We got a couple isolated showers, but more rain is on the way. We'll take a look at the latest timing and the latest on the tropics, too. It's all coming up when we come back. Hey, good morning, everyone. Live Super Doppler for Impact Day. We got some rainfall on the way right now. It's more fog than anything. We'll take a look at that in a second. Hurricane Rafael. Here we go. Winds of 90 miles per hour about to make landfall in Cuba. Could strengthen to a Category 2 before kind of gradually dying down. This particular cone from the Hurricane Center still pointing it out toward maybe Louisiana. That cone may be bending a little bit more westward. When we put in the spaghetti models, you could see again pretty much everyone in agreement until about here. Most want to take it out toward Louisiana, but if you look really closely, some still uncertain. It may kind of die out here or it may head out to the west, but nonetheless, we will continue to track this. In the meantime, few isolated showers at the moment. Here comes a cool front. It won't do a lot to cool us down, but we will get reacquainted with the 60s for daytime highs for about 48 hours late this weekend. Pickens getting a little bit of rainfall. Hendersonville, Rutherfordton, Asheville as well. Cullowhee getting some rain. We're dry in Abbeville, Greenwood, and Lawrence at the moment. As we go throughout this afternoon, I think we'll see some patchy rain here or there, but most of the heaviest rain will likely come tonight and during the overnight hours, and then again as we go into tomorrow morning. That cold front that I showed you is going to kind of gradually move through. It'll be later in the day tomorrow afternoon. After that finally pushes through, well, then most of the rain is gone. As we go into Friday, we'll have that mix of sun and clouds, a nice day to kick off the weekend. As we go back into Thursday, there's a lot of that rain. The heaviest rain will likely be from Columbia on east, by the way. But here's Friday. We've got those nice north fall-like winds again. Perfect for fall for Greenville's kickoff as we go into Saturday. Looking mainly dry. You might see a stray shower, but mainly dry. Rain chances begin to increase late Sunday into Monday, Veterans Day. Here comes our next cool front. That again will cool us down a little bit. None of these are significant. However, if I continue to let this play through next Thursday and Friday, we likely have a stronger cold front by the end of next week that could bring our overnight lows back in the 30s and 40s. Still a long way from now, but something else we're watching. In the meantime, it's going to be pretty mild out there. Anytime you start the morning off with fog, you know there's a lot of soup in the atmosphere. There's a lot of humidity. It's just kind of muggy. Well, that's warmth. That's coming to us from the ocean. So today's going to be a little bit warmer over the next few days. Friday will feel better. Not going to be quite as muggy, but look at that. 60s on Saturday and Sunday. Veterans Day, we're back in the 70s. I'll tell you, the 70s do not want to leave. I think we'll knock them out of here again, possibly by the end of next week.
All right, Perla, thank you. In the race for U.S. House District 3, this was an interesting race that we were following really closely because for the first time, you don't see this very often, the incumbent wasn't running for re-election. Jeff Duncan, he's been a representative for 14 years, leaving his seat to be filled.
That's right, and our projected winner is Republican Sherry Biggs. She actually faced off with Democrat Brian Best and Alliance Party candidate Michael Biedenbaugh.
Our Nate Stanley reports from Anderson County with the Congresswoman-elect's first priority once she's in Washington.
There was an excited and energetic crowd in downtown Anderson where Sherry Biggs officially gave her campaign speech around 8 p.m. last night. She took time to thank her campaign team, her family, and of course, the voters of South Carolina. She tells us that she wants to fix a, quote, emotional and spiritual deficiency in our country and thinks winning this election, she can do so in Washington, D.C. We asked her what her plan was when she gets there.
I'm sticking to the same platform. I'm concerned about the crisis at the border and all that entails bringing in illegals and our economy. People are struggling right now, and we've got to get things back on track.
And Sherry Biggs says that she doesn't have too much time to rest this morning. She says she will be up early for a breakfast for veterans. Reporting in Anderson County, Nate Stanley, WYFF News 4.
The GOP is projected to take back control of the Senate, and former President Donald Trump seems poised to head back to the White House.
NBC senior national correspondent Jay Gray has more from the battleground state of Pennsylvania.
Good morning, and as the counting continues here in Pennsylvania and across the country right now, we have heard from former President Donald Trump, who at this point in the early morning appears poised to take the White House once again, taking the stage with his family, with key staff, with running mate J.D. Vance. Donald Trump has declared victory in the 2024 presidential race. NBC News has not yet called the race, though it appears clear that he is well on his way to returning to the White House. During a speech early this morning to supporters who remained gathered in his Palm Beach victory rally, he described this as a, and I'm quoting here, huge win for democracy, the greatest political movement of all time. We watched as early on the vote seemed to fall the former president's way, and then early this morning, the key swing states of Georgia, North Carolina, and then Pennsylvania, all called by NBC News for the former president. Again, it would appear at this point that Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States, and we have not heard early this morning, from Vice President Kamala Harris. We have been told by her campaign that she intends to speak a bit later today. That's the latest right now here in Pennsylvania. I'm Jay Gray. Back to you.
Ahead, our Washington Bureau is breaking down what comes next for the presidential candidates and the rest of Washington. Stay with us.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. If you were heading out the door between now and about 9 o'clock this morning, you are going to be dealing with some patchy fog. So just kind of a heads up, even driving into work, it's kind of soupy, kind of spooky, but just want to let you know, visibility is less than half a mile in Greenville, Spartanburg, Lawrence, Greenwood. Look at that. Toccoa, about half a mile for you, and only 1 mile in Pickens. So be extra careful as you head out and about. We've also got a little bit of rainfall, especially right along I-40, Hendersonville, Franklin, picking up on some rainfall, parts of Pickens County and Walhalla. Pretty isolated right now. That's the way it will be again this afternoon. I think better chances for rain as we go into late tonight, really during the overnight. But look at that. It's kind of soupy this morning. We're going to warm up. Temperatures once again going back into the low 70s for Greenville and the upstate, low to mid 70s for Asheville and the mountains. So we're going to go back up to above normal today, tomorrow, and then temperatures will drop again back into the 60s by the end of the weekend. We'll take a look at the up and down coming up.
Perla, thank you. Continuing our Commitment 2024 coverage, our Washington correspondents are reporting from each presidential candidate's watch party location.
Here's Christopher Salas in West Palm Beach, Florida, with the latest from former President Trump.
I'm Christopher Salas at the Palm Beach County Convention Center, where former President Donald Trump addressed his supporters after winning Pennsylvania, which put him on the path to become just the second president to win a non-consecutive second term.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country, and maybe beyond. And now it's going to reach a new level of importance because we're going to help our country heal.
Trump called his victory a political realignment, crediting stronger support from minorities. Trump flipped Pennsylvania and Georgia, which he lost back in 2020, and he also defended North Carolina, which put him on the path to win the necessary 270 electoral votes. The win caps off what it has been a historic bid for the White House, featuring 2 assassination attempts, including Trump getting shot in one of those attempts. Now, the big question is, what does a second Trump presidency look like? He has promised broad tariffs on all imports, mass deportations for people living in the country illegally, and a giant reduction of the federal government via a Department of Government Efficiency, which would be run by billionaire Elon Musk, whom Trump spoke about at length during his speech early Wednesday morning. In Palm Beach County, I'm Christopher Salas. Now back to you.
Christopher, thank you.
We turn now to Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign and Kayla Norwood in Washington, D.C.
The crowd quickly clearing here at Howard University after being informed by the campaign co-chair that Harris will not be showing up on election night. Instead, Richmond said that they still have votes to count, and Harris will be back here, though, on Wednesday to address her supporters and the nation. Reporting from Washington, D.C. at Howard University, I'm Kayla Norwood.
Now remember, you can find more in-depth analysis and up-to-date results right now on WYFF4.com and our mobile app.
Our Commitment 2024 coverage continues right now on a special edition of WYFF News 4 Today.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 Today.
Our Commitment 2024 coverage continues this morning.
We've been covering this all throughout the day yesterday, since the first polls closed at 7 p.m. last night, all the way into this morning. And one of the presidential candidates took the stage just hours ago.
So I want to thank the American people for the extraordinary honor of being elected your 47th president and your 45th president.
Now, here is where we stand right now. Of the 270 Electoral College votes needed to win, Kamala Harris has 224. Donald Trump has 267. A few states still not officially weighing in just yet.
Yeah, several of those states: Nevada, 6 electoral votes; Arizona, 11 electoral votes; Wisconsin, 10; Michigan, 15. We're waiting to hear those be called. Alaska with its 3. So several still out there. That said, we've seen some networks call it for former President Trump. That said, NBC has not yet called it. We have not called it yet. But you can see on your screen, just 3 electoral votes away for the former president at 267. Trump had this to say about bringing the country together.
We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly. We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that.
Several interesting takeaways just in the past few hours since we've seen those polls close. One of those things, Georgia, North Carolina going to former President Trump, the southern states, Pennsylvania being called relatively quickly as well. Still waiting on some of those western states, as well as what happens in the other Rust Belt states like Michigan and Wisconsin.
That's right. And what about South Carolina?
Yeah, that one, obviously a Trump win there. So in our 3 states that are within our viewing area, all 3 of those went to the former president as well. So that's something that we were keeping a close eye on. Another interesting thing, Illinois, what I would say is a traditional Democratic state, pretty close. I mean, within 4 points. New Jersey, pretty close as well, within about 5 points. So that's one of those interesting takeaways we'll keep looking at, too, as those votes get up to 100%.
And right now, let's go ahead and turn to the U.S. Senate, another race that we are closely watching. Republicans have won the majority. They have seized control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. NBC News is reporting 51 going to the Republicans there, 51 seats that is, and then 41 seats going to the Democrats. The Republican win was cinched after GOP candidates flipped Senate seats in both Ohio and West Virginia, which gives the GOP a lead role in confirming the next president's cabinet, as well as any Supreme Court justice if there is a vacancy.
We're also watching the U.S. House of Representatives as well, 435 seats there. Here's what NBC is reporting right now: 200 Republican seats, 173 Democratic seats, with 60 of those in play as of right now.
Well, Aaron, from the presidential race to the balance of power in the House of Representatives and the Senate, there are already some takeaways. We are joined now by Aaron Baker. And who do you have with you?
Yeah, this is Furman University professor Brent Nelson. Brent, just in the past couple of hours, since really those polls closed at 7, we've seen a lot, and there's a lot to cover. I guess my first question to you is, Senate projected to go to the GOP. What do you think their first priorities are?
Well, first of all, they're going to have to reorganize with Republicans in charge. So Mitch McConnell has said that he is not going to run for majority leader, and so there's going to be a leadership race. There are a number of candidates that have been mentioned, so that's going to be big. Who is going to be the visible face of the Republican Party in the Senate? And then, of course, they've got judges to approve, and Trump's legislative agenda will be a lot more favorable in the Senate. They still have a 60-vote threshold to get over on most bills, so it's not going to be an easy deal for President Trump, but he's certainly got a leg up if he's got control of the Senate.
Yeah, we saw, Bernie Moreno in Ohio win on the Republican side. One of the other interesting takeaways just so far for me is Ruben Gallego ahead in Arizona, ahead of Kari Lake. So, we talk a lot about North Carolina being a split ticket state. We saw that with Josh Stein. What do you make of that as well? Trump looks poised to win Arizona, at least as of right now, but Gallego is ahead in the Senate race.
Well, the problem with the Trump version of the Republican Party is that, at least early on, they picked really bad candidates, and they've gotten better at that. But Kari Lake may be one of those, and certainly Robinson in North Carolina. They're not great candidates, and so split ticket voting in North Carolina is a thing, and so it is in Arizona as well. So people decided to pull for Trump, and then somebody else for Senate or governor.
All right, Brent Nelson from Furman University. Stick with us. We'll have a lot more all throughout the morning. Thanks so much, Destiny.
Aaron and Brent, thank you so much. Also, let's go to Greenville County, where only 2 races were contested for county council. Districts 22 and 24 were on the ballot. We begin with the District 22 seat. Republican Frank Farmer beat out Democrat Kareem Debatey. Farmer took home 60% of the vote. Our Taniqua Penix is joining us live from Greenville with more from the winner. Good morning, Taniqua.
Well, good morning, Destiny. Aaron, Farmer's win means he will fill the seat of the outgoing Stan Chouvalakis. This area generally represents North Main, Wade Hampton near the city of Greenville, the north side of I-385, and Pelham Road out to Boiling Springs Road. Now, during his campaign, Farmer said he wanted to increase security and improve local infrastructure by putting funding towards the roads. Farmer talked about his priorities for the next 4 years.
We'd love to reduce the taxes from this last tax increase. I think we are going to have a surplus, so that means that there's a place to cut back on.
Now for District 24, Republican Liz Seaman easily won re-election, beating out candidate John Langville. Now her plans for the future are coming up in our next half hour. This council will look different as there will be at least 4 new faces starting next year. Live in Greenville County, Taniqua Penix, WYFF News 4.
Taniqua, thank you. Greenville County voters have the chance to decide on a 1% sales tax increase to raise money for road improvements.
Our Isabel Marek is joining us live in Greenville with what voters decided. Isabel, good morning.
Aaron, Destiny, good morning. It's also known as the penny sales tax, and if it had been passed, it would have gone towards repairing some 1,400 roads here across the county. We're currently on Airport Road at the intersection on Lawrence, and this is just one of the many roads that it would have gone to. But let's take a look at that ballot referendum. Here was the actual text. It said, must a special 1% sales and use tax be imposed in Greenville County for not more than 8 years to raise money for road improvements. And this is a slim margin here, with 100% of the county reporting a majority of 51% are not in favor of the measure. Now, a special commission estimated that it would have raised some $1 billion to repair the roads here in Greenville County, but again, that did not pass yesterday. Reporting live in Greenville, I'm Isabel Marek for WYFF News 4.
At 5:07 this morning, we are turning now to one of the most closely watched races in our region, North Carolina's race for governor.
Yeah, incumbent Governor Roy Cooper, who was elected in 2016, couldn't run again because of a term limit. He was in his second term, or is in his second term. Our projected winner in that race is Josh Stein, so North Carolina's Attorney General is now the governor-elect.
Stein beat out challenger Mark Robinson with 55% of the vote. Our Rashad Williams reports from the Stein Watch Party in North Carolina's capital.
Josh Stein took this race by more than 10% of the vote over Mark Robinson. And he had quite the introduction on stage. A local HBCU marching band brought him out along with North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Josh Stein talked about unity amongst North Carolinians, regardless of political affiliation. He emphasized his plans to really hone in on what he calls North Carolina issues. That includes good jobs, strong public schools, public freedom, and reproductive rights. Stein says North Carolina chose progress over hate this election day.
We chose hope over hate, competence over chaos, decency over division. That's who we are as North Carolinians.
Bringing it closer to home for our viewers, Josh Stein also took time to mention Western North Carolina and how he plans to continue pushing for aid in the region on the heels of Hurricane Helene. Despite the victory and the celebration at the end of his speech, Josh Stein said it is back to business right after Election Day. In downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
And it's about the state that you love. A state that I fully intend to continue to serve for the next 2 months. And who knows, maybe in the future, once again, somewhere in office. Who knows? I don't know.
Following the loss, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson said he was holding his head high but was disappointed for the people of North Carolina. His race was plagued with controversy, including a recent story done by CNN. That report said Robinson commented on a porn site more than a decade ago, saying he was a black Nazi, among other things. Robinson denies those allegations.
Good morning, everyone. It is 5:09. Here we go, Wednesday morning. Temperatures, a milder start to the day, that's for sure. 61 in Cullowhee. We have 65 in Greenville, 66 in Anderson. We've got some patchy fog, and we've got some of these isolated showers out there right now. We're going to see a couple more come our way this afternoon, and then as we go into this evening, we could see more rain. I think a lot of this will hold off until late tonight and during the overnight. Nonetheless, I think it's a good idea to have the umbrella handy no matter what day part you're heading out, just because of those stray showers, especially initially heading into tonight, though better chances of those rain showers moving in. It's going to be warmer today, by the way. Notice temperatures back in the low 70s, low to mid 70s, really, for Greenville and the upstate. We're going to be back around 71 for Asheville and the mountains. Tomorrow, we're going to see some more rainfall, especially during the morning, but a couple more spotty showers are possible tomorrow afternoon before we dry out, just in time to kick off the weekend on Friday. We'll take a look at the weekend, by the way, which has a little bit cooler temperatures. More on that coming up in just a little while. First, let's get you outside, get a check on those roads. How's it looking, Destiny?
Rella, speaking of Impact Day, this will impact your commute. I know it did when I was on the way to work this morning. There's lots of fog on the roads if you're out there, including Spartanburg County, where we're taking a live look right now. I-85 south at Highway 14. Southbound and northbound lanes are clear, but you may want to take your time and allow extra room in front of you for the next vehicle. Also, let's take a look at those travel times this morning. I-240 to Asheville Highway should take you 12 minutes. Airport to Woodruff Road, you're looking at a 6-minute drive, and then Fairview Road to downtown, 13. Remember, for the latest updates on traffic as you head out the door this morning, check the traffic section of the WYFF4 mobile app.
Your time's 5:11, and our commitment to 2024 coverage continues this morning.
With the winners from the U.S. House races across the Carolinas and in Georgia. 514, we're continuing our commitment 2024. South Carolina's 4th district includes a majority of Greenville and Spartanburg counties.
Our projected winner in that race is Republican incumbent William Timmons. He was challenged by Democrat Catherine Harvey and Constitution candidate Mark Hackett. He won with 60% of the vote, a little over 206,000 votes. That's compared to Catherine Harvey's 37% of the vote, about 128,000 votes, and Mark Hackett's 3%.
Our Jane Robelo reports from Spartanburg County.
Representative William Timmons really appreciating that big voter support that sends him to Washington for a 4th consecutive term in the U.S. Congress. He joined supporters and fellow GOP candidates at Holiday Brewing in Enman right after the polls closed. This is where the Spartanburg County GOP held their watch party. It was very important for the congressman to come here to thank these folks since Spartanburg gave him his primary win over Adam Morgan. And on election night, he thanked them for the general election win.
Hey, we are so excited that the 4th Congressional District has given us their trust yet again. It is an honor and privilege to serve. I've been fighting in Washington for the upstate for 6 years, and we're going to keep fighting for the next 2 years. I got to tell you, I'm so excited about the potential that President Trump's back in the White House, that we have the Senate, and that we have the House. We're going to work hard to really save the American dream, to breathe life into the American dream. The last 4 years have been hard for all of us, whether it's inflation, whether it is the economy, whether it's energy prices, whether it's the southern border. Whatever has been the #1 issue for you, we're going to work hard to solve those problems for you and to really save the American dream and get our country back on track. And I just want to say it's an honor to serve, and we're going to keep fighting for the upstate, and thank you for your support.
And Representative Timmons says he will work with House Democrats to try and solve some of the biggest issues that are facing Americans, the deficit, the immigration crisis, and also health care. In Enman, Jane Robelo, WYFF News 4.
And staying in the 4th Congressional District, our Gabrielle Komorowski was following Democratic challenger Catherine Harvey and has this report from Spartanburg.
Catherine Harvey said despite a loss, this race is proof that the upstate is ready for change. The Democrats saying they will continue to fight until seats flip. Harvey, who has been the chair of the Spartanburg County Democratic Party since 2022, had called this race a fight for women and families and reproductive freedoms. And her message to supporters and to William Timmons was, we are not going anywhere.
We ran an aggressive but clean campaign. That was very important because people need to know how that can be done up here and it can start to make a movement. That was critical for us. We held our 3-term congressmen accountable at every single term. And that doesn't stop. My hope is that he shows up and better represents all of us after this.
Harvey said the goal remains to remember the best interests of the people of this rapidly growing district. She said it has been an honor to be in this race. In Spartanburg, Gabrielle Komorowski, WYFF News 4.
Okay, if you're heading out early, you've got some fog to deal with, at least for most of us. Some of that visibility less than half a mile. That's tough to see the car in front of you. So if you need to leave a little bit early between now and 9 o'clock, we're still going to be dealing with this fog. We'll talk about rainfall and the latest on the tropics. It's all coming up when we come back. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Let's get you right out to the tropics. Hurricane Rafael, winds of 90 miles per hour. So a Category 1 hurricane giving lots of wind and rain to Cuba, about to make landfall, potentially become a Category 2 briefly as it moves into the Gulf of Mexico and then kind of moves over waters that aren't quite as warm. Now, this cone of certainty or uncertainty, depending on how you look at it, has us from basically Mississippi all the way to Texas as far as when this potential tropical storm will make landfall. But when we put all of the weather models in motion here, most beginning to think, you know what, it could make landfall or kind of migrate out toward Louisiana, but there's still some that kind of die out right around here. There's still a question mark. Some weather models still thinking it's going to go to the south, like the European weather model. Nonetheless, it is heading into the Gulf of Mexico. We're keeping a close eye on it. We'll keep you updated. We got some isolated showers right now. Notice the direction of the clouds here. We've got south winds moving in. wind. You know that, number one, because it's warmer out there. We've got some fog, so we've got some extra juice, humidity, moisture, however you want to put it, is out there, and it's settling onto some area roadways, and then it's coming down in the form of rain. So the atmosphere right now is nice and soupy. What we need is a wind direction change. That will happen once this cool front comes through. It will come through, by the way, with very little fanfare tomorrow, but it will shift our winds, and we'll be able to get rid of some of this moisture, which is good. That won't be until tomorrow night, by the way. Here we go. Hendersonville, you've got a little bit of rainfall. Asheville, Rutherfordton, Cashers, Chesney picking up on some sprinkles as well. Walhalla, Franklin. As we take a look at this afternoon, I think we'll see a few more of those spotty showers. Some of us may get a couple quick sun breaks, so don't be surprised by that. And then as we go into tonight, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, we could see a few more. I think the heaviest amount of rain, or the rain where most of us will be impacted, will be late tonight and during the overnight hours. Now, here's tomorrow morning, a couple more of those stray showers. Notice as we go into tomorrow afternoon, again, not a very well-defined line, but that's our cool front. That's that shift in winds. As it starts to push through, it will move some of the rainfall out of here. It will eventually get some of the clouds out of here as well. And as we go throughout your Friday, there'll be a mix of sun and clouds. It won't be crystal clear the very next day, but we will start to feel some improvement in the atmosphere. So here's another look at that. Here's Friday. Notice the direction of these winds coming back in from the north. So preparing to feel more like fall, especially by Saturday and Sunday. But just as we kind of cool down and get one weather pattern set, well, it starts to change again. So here is Monday, Veterans Day. It's almost tradition to get rain every Veterans Day. Have you noticed there's parades out there? We're always dealing with at least overcast conditions, but looks like we're going to get some more rainfall as another cold front comes through. We cool down again, but if I let this go to next Thursday, and again, it's a long way from now, but that brings in a more rigorous cold front with potentially soaking rain next Thursday, and then a real cool down heading into next Friday, Saturday. Too early to tell, but something that we're watching. I know a lot of you are kind of tired of the 70s. You at least want it to be more fall-like and more than 2 days, but that's kind of the weather pattern we have been in. So 70s today, tomorrow, live Super Doppler for impact days. Some of us dealing with some of that rainfall as we go into later today, and then back in the 60s for daytime highs on Saturday and Sunday. Let's get you outside and all that fog. Take a look at the roads. How is it looking out there, Aaron?
Brella, as you said, foggy, but still looking pretty good out there, at least traffic-wise. I-85 south at Clemson Boulevard. Smooth sailing out there. In fact, we've been up and down 85. Haven't seen any major issues so far this morning. Hopefully it stays that way. If it doesn't, we'll certainly let you know. Travel times look good as well. These are all in the green. I-240 to Asheville Highway actually down a minute to 11 minutes on 26 eastbound. 85 southbound from Airport to Woodruff Road holding steady at 6 minutes. And if your travels take you 385 northbound from around Fairview Road, Simpsonville area into downtown Greenville, that commute is 13 minutes right now. For the latest updates on traffic as you head out this Wednesday morning, you can always check the traffic section of the WYFF4 mobile app. Back to our Commitment 2024 coverage this morning. In the race for U.S. House District 3, incumbent Jeff Duncan did not run again, leaving his seat to be filled.
Our projected winner is Republican Sherry Biggs. She faced off with Democrat Brian Best and Alliance Party candidate Michael Biedenbaugh.
Our Nate Stanley reports from Anderson County with the Congresswoman-elect's first priority once she's in Washington.
There was an excited and energetic crowd in downtown Anderson where Sherry Biggs officially gave her campaign speech around 8 p.m. last night. She took time to thank her campaign team, her family, and of course, the voters of South Carolina. She tells us that she wants to fix a, quote, emotional and spiritual deficiency in our country and thinks winning this election, she can do so in Washington, D.C. We asked her what her plan was when she gets there.
I'm sticking to the same platform. I'm concerned about the crisis at the border and all that entails bringing in illegals and our economy. People are struggling right now, and we've got to get things back on track.
And Sherry Biggs says that she doesn't have too much time to rest this morning. She says she will be up early for a breakfast for veterans. Reporting in Anderson County, Nate Stanley, WYFF News 4.
It's 5:27, and the balance of power on Capitol Hill will shift come January. Right now, we know at least one of the chambers at the other end of Pennsylvania Avenue has flipped. Amy Lou's in the Washington Bureau with what we know so far.
Republicans now have control of the Senate after flipping Democratic-held seats.
The Associated Press projects Republicans will have a 51-seat majority in the Senate, with the possibility of Republicans picking up even more. Democrats currently hold 42. That's after Republicans flipped one seat in West Virginia. Jim Justice taking over from retiring independent Senator Joe Manchin. And in Ohio, Democratic incumbent Sherrod Brown losing to newcomer Bernie Moreno. With still 7 races to be called, the focus now turns to Democrats defending seats in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, and Montana after efforts to oust Republicans in Texas and Florida collapsed. The balance of power less clear in the House. Right now, Republicans leading with 196 seats, Democrats 176. Top races in the House are now focused in New York and California. The ruling party of either the House and Senate will have big implications on what kind of legislation gets through and ultimately what can boost or block the president's agenda. At the White House, I'm Amy Lou.
It's 5:28 and our commitment coverage in 2024 continues this morning.
With the winners from statewide races in North Carolina.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Live Super Doppler for Impact Day. We've got some rainfall out there right now, but I think more of us impacted late tonight. In the meantime, we have some fog out there as well. Visibility less than half a mile in Spartanburg and in Greenville. Look at that, less than half a mile in Lawrence and Greenwood and Toccoa. It's kind of soupy out there, and it's going to be that way until about 9 o'clock or so before we begin to see most of that fog clear out. On top of that, we got some sprinkles to some light showers. This includes parts of Pickens County and Hendersonville, Asheville, and Rutherford as well. Certainly not a lot of heavy rain. I think this is the kind of rain that we like because it helps to water things, but it doesn't drown anything out, right? But we don't necessarily need soaking rain, at least not across western North Carolina. As we take a look at our temperatures, no big surprise. We're going to be warmer today than yesterday, back in the low to mid 70s. Yes, this is above normal. It is November after all, but we've got the 70s. They just keep wanting to come back. They'll be here today and tomorrow. However, the 60s are also in the forecast. Just in time for the weekend. We'll take a look at that and more coming up.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 today.
All right, well, we do have breaking news in our Commitment 2024 coverage news continuing this morning. NBC News just now reporting that they are declaring Trump as the presumed winner.
Yeah, President-elect Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. This is a race we've been following since those polls closed at 7 last night. The initial polls closed. We saw Pennsylvania go to President-elect Trump. We've seen, as we've gone throughout the evening, some of those states that we knew would be within 1 or 2 percentage points. We saw President-elect Trump leading in those: Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan as well, leading by 2, 3, 4, 5 points there. Lots of takeaways that we're going to unpack and take a further look at this morning. But obviously that's huge news this morning. President-elect Trump is the 47th president of the United States.
This is a magnificent victory for the American people that will allow us to make America great again.
So here is where we stand right now. We will update those numbers in just a little bit to show that 270 with Donald Trump there. But we do know so far that North Carolina, Georgia, and South Carolina are 3 of the states that President-elect Donald Trump has won. There we go. Those numbers are now updated. Donald Trump with 277 electoral college votes. Kamala Harris with 224.
Yeah, it looks like Wisconsin was just called for President-elect Trump. That's 10 electoral votes right there. At last check, when I last checked at that, it was President-elect Trump at 49.8% to Vice President Kamala Harris at 48.6%. We'll let you know if that's changed. But Nevada yet to be called with 6 electoral votes, Arizona with 11 electoral votes, Michigan with 15. But obviously a significant win, and that would be only the second president in history, if I'm not mistaken, to be a non-consecutive president of the United States at 45th and 47th president of the United States.
Trump also had this to say about bringing the country, reuniting the country as well.
And every citizen, I will fight for you, for your family, and your future. Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve.
Lots to unpack this morning. You know, we had followed this race since the polls closed. And one of the things that was, or one of the many things that was interesting to me is as those numbers came in, we saw Pennsylvania come in relatively quickly. We saw a lot of those battleground states within a couple of percentage points. And then we started following, or at least I started following Virginia, Illinois, some areas that in recent elections have been more traditional blue strongholds. Looking at Illinois, you know, there was only a 4-point difference between now President-elect Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. If I'm not mistaken, President Biden, I believe in 2021, that by about 17 points. So certainly some shifting voter demographics here across the nation, not just in the battleground states.
That's right. I also read on NBC News this morning that J.D. Vance said that President-elect Donald Trump, this is one of the biggest comebacks in U.S. history. So we'll continue to follow that as well. Let's go ahead and now turn, though, to the U.S. Senate, where Republicans have won the majority. Let's take a look at these numbers that we've been following. They have seized control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. You can see on your screen that of those 100 seats, 51 do go to the Republicans, 41 of those seats go to Democrats. The Republicans, they actually secured that vote after the GOP candidates flipped Senate seats in both Ohio and West Virginia, which gives the GOP a lead role in confirming the next president's cabinet, as well as any Supreme Court justice if there is a vacancy. Turning now to the U.S. House, NBC News is also reporting of the 435 seats, 199 Republican seats, 170 Democratic seats. And actually right now at 5:37, we're going to go ahead and go back to the presidential race, to the balance of power here in the House of Representatives and the Senate. Right now, there are already some key takeaways. Our Aaron Baker, he was not only here last night, but the night before, and he's here again this morning, joined by Furman University professor there, Brent Nelson.
Yeah, Brent, I have to give you credit as well. You were with us last night, too. So we've been, following this through and through since the polls closed. If you are just joining us this morning, as of a few minutes ago, Donald Trump is the 47th president of the United States of America, declared the president-elect after winning in Wisconsin with 10 electoral votes. Brent, one of the interesting takeaways that I've seen, too, if we can pull up just the total number of popular votes as well, President-elect Trump leading in that, too. So we saw that there. We saw as we went throughout the night, Pennsylvania was called relatively quickly. There's the percentage vote right now. Former President Donald Trump, President-elect Donald Trump with over 70 million votes. Vice President Kamala Harris with 47%. What's your takeaway from all this, hearing this right now in the past few minutes?
Well, it's Trump's night, and clearly we have seen a shift across the country towards Donald Trump. And I think, this is where the American democracy comes through. We have these two candidates. It's a deeply divided nation, and it's very close. And the people of the United States said, we're going to choose one of these. And they chose decisively, which is what we really needed. Whether you like Donald Trump or not, we now have a direction. And I think he has a mandate if he keeps his majority of the popular vote. Unlike 2016, he won't just have an electoral college victory. He will have a popular vote victory as well. So he'll have probably control of the Senate. It looks like the House is going to go his way. The Supreme Court, buckle up. It's Trump's world.
Yeah, and we looked at this last night. You're a political geek like I am. You tend to look at those trends as the night goes on. What was that trend point for you where perhaps you thought, okay, this might not be a good night for Vice President Kamala Harris? Was there a point where you said, oh, he's taking the lead, or you thought he was taking the lead?
Well, we could see, looking at county by county voting, that Kamala Harris was underperforming Joe Biden 4 years ago, where she needed to do well, to really rack up the number of votes in order to overcome the strength that Trump had in the rural counties, whether it be Pennsylvania or North Carolina. So that underperformance just accumulated throughout the night. And so it became clear that people had really made their choice. And I don't know what this means for the Democratic Party. I do think they're going to have to think about how they can appeal once again to at least some working class voters. We're going through a realignment of the parties in this country, and the Republicans are now more the working class party, and Democrats are seen as elites and out of touch with normal Americans. And so I think there's going to have to be some kind of reckoning within the Democratic Party. So it's going to be interesting few months after this election.
Well, we have so much more to talk about throughout the newscast, so stick with us. Furman University Professor Brent Nelson, thank you so much. Destiny?
All right, thank you both. And Greenville County voters had the chance to decide on a 1% sales tax increase to raise money for road improvements. Our Isabel Mark is joining us live in Greenville with what voters decided. Isabel.
Destiny, it's also known as the penny sales tax by many here in the county. If it did pass, it would have gone towards repairing some 1,400 roads here in Greenville County. We're currently on Airport Road at the intersection on Lawrence. This is just one of the many roads on that list. But let's take a look at what was on that ballot yesterday. It said, must a special 1% sales and use tax be imposed in Greenville County for not more than 8 years to raise money for road improvements? And this here is a slim margin, with 100% of the county reporting a majority of 51% are not in favor of the measure. Now, a special commission estimated that if it had passed, it would have raised nearly $1 billion to go towards these road repairs. But again, this did not pass here in Greenville County. Reporting live in Greenville, I'm Isabel Marek for WYFF News 4.
Hey, thank you, Isabel. Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday, 541. We've got some patchy dense fog out there. Visibility less than half a mile in Spartanburg and Union and Lawrence and Greenwood. So visibility, the car in front of you might be tough to see. Just a reminder, reaction time when we have fog like this, when it's down to about 1/4 of a mile, 15 seconds. So just a reminder to kind of slow down. It's soupy out there. We've got a lot of extra humidity, a lot of extra moisture, some of that coming down in the form of some very light showers in Cullowhee, Franklin, Hendersonville, Rutherfordton, and Asheville. We're dry across most of the upstate right now. We'll have better chances for rain for a lot of us, not everyone, but it'll be late tonight into the overnight hours nonetheless. We've got that patchy fog until about 9 o'clock this morning. More clouds than anything, but we're going to warm up again. Temperature is going to be in the low to mid 70s across the mountains and across the upstate. Looking for our next cool down. That looks to come this weekend, but potentially a more significant cool down once again next weekend. We'll take a look at all of that and the latest on the tropics too coming up in just a little while. Right now, let's get you outside, get a check on those roads. How's it looking, Destiny?
Good morning, Pro. Let's take a live look at 543 this morning. If you are headed out on the roads, you can see from this live cam there in Anderson County, I-85 south at Clemson Boulevard. It's a little wet out there. Also be careful because there is fog in much of our area, as Perella has been saying, and as we've seen on our way into work this morning. So allow yourself some extra time to get out the door this morning. Let's take a look at those travel times. I-240 to Asheville Highway should take you 12 minutes. Airport to Woodruff Road, 6 minutes. For every road to downtown, you're looking at a 14-minute drive. Stay with us. At 5:46 this morning, now to breaking news in our Commitment 2024 coverage continuing this morning.
Donald Trump has been elected the 47th president of the United States. NBC News making that call just minutes ago. Here's where we stand right now. Wisconsin putting President-elect Trump over the 270 electoral votes required to become the next president of the United States. At 277 right now to Vice President Kamala Harris's 224.
We are also continuing to follow some local races here, switching gears at 5:46 this morning. In Greenville County, only 2 races were contested for in County Council. Now, we're also hearing that Districts 22 and 24 were on the ballot. Last half hour, we brought you the winner of District 22. Now we turn to the District 24 winner.
Let's take a look at that. Republican Liz Seaman held on to her seat with 84% of the vote, easily winning re-election, beating out Constitution candidate John Langville by more than 80% of the vote.
That's Taniqua Penix is joining us live this morning from Greenville County with more from the winner. Taniqua.
Well, good morning. Seaman has held that District 24 seat since 2008, and she was recently elected vice chair on the council. She talks about her plans for the next 4 years.
I will just continue to work hard, continue to think about things like public safety, like infrastructure, our roads, affordable housing, transportation, green space, economic development, things that I've been working on since I first got elected in 2008.
Now, this council will look very different as there will be 4 new faces starting next year. Live in Greenville County, Taniqua Penix, WYFF News 4.
We have a few isolated showers out there right now, but look at that. A lot more on the way from the south and from the west. I'll get you caught up on the latest with today's live Super Doppler 4 Impact Day when we come back. Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. We've got some fog out there, a little bit of rainfall, but more rain on the way. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let's get you out to the tropics. Hurricane Rafael, still a Category 1 hurricane, winds of 90 miles per hour, very close to Cuba, making landfall. Now, the latest projection is as it moves out into the Gulf of Mexico or starts to head that way, could very briefly become a Category 2 hurricane before kind of meandering to the west across the Gulf of Mexico. Now, as we put more of our weather models into motion here, you could see once again in agreement, but still taking a more westward bend, and then starts to kind of get confused or not good congruency in the weather models up until right around here. Nonetheless, not expecting much of an impact to the Carolinas, maybe a little bit of extra rainfall like what we're seeing right now. Notice the Gulf of Mexico, we're getting some clouds from the Gulf, we're getting a little bit of rain from the Gulf, so that kind of stuff. And then look at that, out to the west, we got a cool front coming through. It's not going to bring a ton of rain, and it's not going to bring a significant cool down, but it will get us back into the 60s for daytime highs by Saturday, which is closer to normal or the seasonal average for those of you keeping track. As we take a look outside, Hendersonville, Asheville, good morning to you. Cullowhee, Franklin, we have some of those spotty showers out there right now. More clouds than anything, and again, lots of fog out there, limiting visibility until about 9 o'clock or so. So it's really tough to see out there. You might want to leave a little bit early if you can, if you're heading to work early this morning. As we take a look at this afternoon, more clouds than anything. Couple of us could have a couple sun breaks. By the way, that's going to help to warm us up, coupled with those south winds. But I think the bulk of the rain, not everybody's going to get wet today or tomorrow, but I think the bulk of the rain really comes late tonight and during the overnight. Here's tomorrow morning, by the way. We got some more of those spotty showers, even tomorrow afternoon. Hard to see, but this line, that's our cool front. So again, by the time it gets here, that part of the system does not have a lot of rainfall with it, but it will push through and help to escort all of this humidity and this mugginess out of here. So we'll have that mix of sun and clouds for Friday, and by Saturday, we'll get back into the 60s for daytime highs. So here's another look. You can see by Thursday, lots of that rain heading into the Midlands and the Low Country, but the wind shifting behind that. So here comes those north winds. Here comes that fall-like feeling again. You won't necessarily feel it Friday. Remember, cold air or cool air is heavy, so it takes a while to kind of funnel in. So it gets here late Thursday. It'll be working its way in Friday, but we'll feel it a little bit more pronounced on Saturday with temperatures dropping into the 60s. Here's our next cool front. This is coming through on Monday, Veterans Day. I feel like it's almost tradition at this point that we have either overcast conditions or a little bit of rainfall on Veterans Day. As we go into Tuesday, though, clear skies, and then our next chance of widespread, maybe even soaking rain, maybe, would be next Thursday, ahead of a more significant cool down for next weekend. But again, too early to tell. In the meantime, we've got live Super Doppler 4 impact days today and tomorrow with some of that rainfall heading our way.
Now back to our Commitment 2024 coverage continuing this morning. Breaking news this morning, President-elect Donald Trump winning as 47th president, and he also was the 45th president, also making history there.
Yeah, the Wisconsin putting him over those 270 electoral votes required to become the next president of the United States. At 277 electoral votes right now, Wisconsin being 10 of those votes. This is something we've been following all throughout the night. We're still waiting to see Michigan. We're still waiting to see Arizona and Nevada as well. But as of right now, President-elect Trump is ahead in those states.
Also to mention, Trump winning North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. AP is also saying that him winning Wisconsin, it's the same state that put him over the top when he won in 2016. At 5:55 this morning, Aaron, from the presidential race to the balance of power in the House of Representatives and the Senate, there are already some key takeaways, right?
Yeah, a lot of takeaways to cover. We're joined by Furman University Professor Brent Nelson. Brent, I just want to talk about the presidential race for a second. Breaking news, President-elect Donald Trump, now the 47th president of the U.S. What do you make of the race as of right now?
Well, I would say that Donald Trump is going to have an electoral landslide. It looks like, he's leading in the other swing states. He may have just run the table That doesn't mean that he has a huge popular vote mandate. He'll probably get more than 50%, which is more than he did in 2016. But he clearly has taken the night, and he has got a mandate to govern according to the plans that he has made and made clear to the American people. The American people have decided. We had a bit of a tight race, but in the end, the popular vote and the Electoral College are all pointing to a decisive Trump victory. And it looks like he gets the other legislative branch, so it's a Trump trifecta.
All right, Britt Nelson from University, thank you so much. You'll be with us all throughout the morning. We still have a lot to talk about. Coming up at our 6 o'clock hour, we'll talk Senate. We'll talk the House of Representatives as well. Right now, you're giving a live look at Washington, D.C., the White House, as President-elect Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Well, good morning, everyone. 5:58. Happy Wednesday. If you're heading out and about anytime soon, you've got some patchy fog. Some of this is very thick. Look at that. Visibility less than half a mile in Gaffney, Union, Lawrence, Spartanburg. Wow, look at that. Greenwood as well. Toccoa, half a mile in Pickens, and less than a mile in Greenville. Not expecting much of this to clear until about 9 o'clock or so. We'll still have some patchy fog. But just a reminder, you might want to leave a little bit early. I know some of us have been up pretty much all night, just kind of election night. It is exciting. Some of you may be lacking a little bit of sleep. So just a reminder, your reaction time when visibility this low, it makes it a little bit tough. So you might want to leave a little bit early. We're also seeing some sprinkles and some light showers across parts of western North Carolina, Walhalla, Pickens, Franklin. You are in that as well. As we take a look at the next several hours here, we'll see a few spotty showers this afternoon. I think most of the rain comes late tonight and during the overnight hours. And again, it's not going to be for everyone, but it will be a good chunk of rain, if you will, as we go into tonight and early tomorrow morning. But it is going to be warmer today, low to mid 70s across Greenville and the upstate, Asheville in the mountains as well. A lot more details on the rest of the week, the weekend, and the tropics. I have the latest on that too coming up for you in just a little while.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 today.
Breaking Commitment 2024 news. NBC News is projecting Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States.
This is where the Electoral College count stands as of right this second. A win for former President Trump means the end to 9 years of nonstop campaigning, handing him his second term in office. President-elect Trump at 277 electoral votes, Vice President Kamala Harris at 224.
That's right. Trump is slated to become only the second U.S. president to serve terms that did not come back to back. He also becomes the oldest U.S. president to be sworn in as commander-in-chief. 6 states still have not been called. The undecided races are in gold on your screen and are reporting at least 50% votes there. Wisconsin was most recently called. That's with Harris trailing Trump at 48.7% to his 49.7%. Another state that we've been closely watching is Pennsylvania. Former President Trump addressing his supporters earlier this morning in West Palm Beach after NBC News projected him as the winner in Pennsylvania.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. And frankly, this was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
Now, we haven't heard from Vice President Harris yet. She is set to speak at her alma mater, that's Howard University, in just a little bit. And Aaron, what can you tell us about the state of the race right now?
Yeah, we watched this race play out from obviously when the polls closed at 7 o'clock last night to right now. And we saw Wisconsin just minutes ago go to now President-elect Donald Trump. That win delivers 10 electoral votes to President-elect Trump. You may remember he narrowly won Wisconsin in 2016, becoming the first Republican since Ronald Reagan to capture it, then lost it in 2020 to Democrat Joe Biden. Both campaigns made Wisconsin a central focus of their campaign, as well as other blue wall states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, which was called for President-elect Trump yesterday evening. We saw that happen, and obviously we're still waiting for Arizona as well. Maricopa County, keeping a close eye on that, seeing how that vote turns out. In Nevada, Clark County, pretty close there as well. The rest of the state breaking for now President-elect Trump. So we're keeping a close eye on all these races. But one thing we saw earlier in the evening, we saw last night, I should say, we saw Georgia and North North Carolina go to President-elect Trump. So we saw that happen. We realized, okay, those two southern states headed to President-elect Trump. Then we saw Pennsylvania, just walking you through how this happened. And then minutes ago, Wisconsin. We were keeping a close eye on what we call the WOW counties in Wisconsin, Waukesha, Ozaukee, and then as well as Washington here. Those are the suburbs outside of Milwaukee. We saw those go red, anywhere from, let's say, 5, 6, 7 points, all the way up to 30 points. So at those margins, just hard for Vice President Kamala Harris to overtake that. We also saw President-elect Donald Trump win in several other areas. We knew he would win in a lot of the South, and we're keeping a close eye on those as well. But let's talk about now Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. At 40, he'll become the highest-ranking member of the millennial generation in government there as well. So lots to unpack here. We'll have all of that throughout the rest of our newscast. Destiny.
All right, Aaron, thank you for that update. Let's look at our region. Trump winning all 3 states. He won South Carolina and North Carolina in 2016 and in 2020.
Trump won Georgia in 2016, but lost to Biden in 2020 by 11,779 votes. The only blue county on the map in our area, you're seeing it right there, Buncombe County, that houses Asheville. Harris took that by almost 40,000 votes. No huge surprise there. Buncombe County does traditionally lean Democratic. We see right there the rest of Western North Carolina going for now President-elect Trump, as well as the upstate and our 4 counties in Georgia.
At 6:04, let's turn now to the U.S. Senate. Republicans have won the majority. They have seized control of the chamber for the first time in 4 years. Take a look at your screen. NBC News reporting 51 of those 100 seats going to the Republicans, 42 of those seats going to the Democrats. The Republican win was cinched after GOP candidates split Senate seats in both Ohio and West Virginia, which gives the GOP a lead role in confirming the next president's cabinet, also as well as any Supreme Court justice if there is a vacancy.
Let's talk about the U.S. House of Representatives here. Here's where it stands right now. 200 seats for the Republicans, 175 seats for the Democrats, 58 seats still in play there as well. So 435 seats in the U.S. House. That's one we're keeping a close eye on as well as we go throughout the rest of the morning.
Well, joining us now is local political expert Brent Nelson. Good morning.
Good morning.
From Harvard University, I should say. You were here with us last night. You're here with us this morning. Thank you so much. We appreciate you being here.
My pleasure.
Let's talk first about the Republicans' wins here. We saw this in the Senate. What do you think the Republicans' top priorities will be from the presidential ticket all the way down now that those wins have taken place?
Well, as Destiny said, there are going to be cabinet officials to be passed through or approved by the Senate, and so that's going to be important. But Donald Trump has a long list of things he wants to do right away. He wants to look at American trade policy and tariffs. He wants to look at, of course, the border, and he may be able to get that money for the wall that he's always been looking for. So he has a number of things on his list, and if he can get the House of Representatives as well, and that's going to take a while because they're going to count for a long time in California and New York, where some of these swing districts are. But assuming he gets the House as well, he is going to have a much easier path to getting the things done that he promised. And I think he learned from the last 4 years he was in office and knows what it takes to get some things through the legislative process. So I think he's coming in better prepared to get the things that he has promised the American people through the legislature and on into policy.
Really quickly, split ticket voting in North Carolina and in Arizona. What do you make of that? What's your take?
Well, North Carolina and Arizona have a tradition of this. They don't just pull that one lever that says, all Republican or all Democratic. They do choose, and especially North Carolina, they've often chosen a Democratic governor when they've gone for a Republican president. So they're a little independent-minded. I would say that there was a rough candidate on the Republican side in North Carolina, and I think that had a lot to do with it. Same thing in Arizona, actually. And so I think in some sense, candidate quality matters, and people are willing to split their ticket. Yeah.
Britt Nelson, I'll say I loved watching you from afar. Aaron Baker, he always has reports and Zoom interviews with you on the morning show, also in evenings when you guys were covering everything last night. We appreciate you joining us this morning.
It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Let's talk about one of those split ticket races. Speaking of, in North Carolina, pretty closely watched race as well. North Carolina's race for governor.
That's right. In our region here, incumbent Roy Cooper could not run again due to a term limit. Our projected winner is Attorney General Democrat Josh Stein.
He was challenged by Lieutenant Governor Republican Mark Robinson there.
Our Rashad Williams is reporting from the Stein Watch Party in North Carolina's capital.
Josh Stein took this race by more than 10% of the vote over Mark Robinson. And he had quite the introduction on stage. A local HBCU marching band brought him out along with North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. Josh Stein talked about unity amongst North Carolinians, regardless of political affiliation. He emphasized his plans to really hone in on what he calls North Carolina issues. That includes good jobs, strong public schools, public freedom, and reproductive rights. Stein says North Carolina chose progress over hate this election day.
We chose hope over hate, competence over chaos, decency over division. That's who we are as North Carolinians.
Bringing it closer to home for our viewers, Josh Stein also took time to mention Western North Carolina and how he plans to continue pushing for aid in the region on the heels of Hurricane Helene. Despite the victory and the celebration at the end of his speech, Josh Stein said it is back to business right after Election Day. In downtown Raleigh, North Carolina, Rashad Williams, WYFF News 4.
And it's about the state that you love. A state that I fully intend to continue to serve for the next 2 months. And who knows, maybe in the future once again, somewhere in office. Who knows? I don't know.
After the loss, Lieutenant Governor Mark Robinson said he was holding his head high but was disappointed for the people of North Carolina. His race was plagued with controversy, including a recent story done by CNN. That report said Robinson commented on an adult film site more than a decade ago. Robinson denies the allegations made in that report.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's 6:09. We have temperatures in the 60s. It is a milder start to the day. You will notice it as you step outside. We're getting close to 70 degrees already in Clemson, in Hartwell, and Anderson. We've also got a few isolated showers, quite a bit of fog out there as well. So be careful as you head out and about. As we go into this afternoon, some patchy rainfall is possible. I think most of the rain will hold off until late tonight and during the overnight hours, and is why today is a live Super Doppler for Impact Day. So patchy fog, some isolated rain this morning. Even as we go into this afternoon and this evening, not everybody gets wet. Tomorrow's rain either. So it's still going to be out there. We'll have rain around, but it's not going to be widespread soaking rain for most of us. Temperatures topping out at about 71 degrees in the mountains. And then tomorrow, here we go. Tomorrow morning, we'll have some rainfall and then maybe a few more spotty showers tomorrow afternoon before we get all of this out of here and get ready for the weekend under dry skies for your Friday. A lot more details on that weekend and the tropics, too. It's all coming up in just a little while. Let's get you outside, get a check on those roads. How's it looking, Destiny?
Hey, Perla, at 6:11 this morning, it is a low visibility as far as the fog goes. So if you are headed out the door this morning, make sure to give yourself some extra time, including in Greenville County, where we're getting a live look right now. I-85 North at Pelham Road, northbound, southbound lanes look clear, but again, foggy. I-240 to Asheville Highway, 11 minutes. Airport to Woodruff Road, 6 minutes. Fairview Road to downtown, 14.
Back to Commitment 2024, South Carolina voters decided last night on whether to change the state's constitution to narrow the definition of who has the right to vote. Voters said yes on changing the word every to only a citizen can vote in South Carolina elections.
Also right now, you're getting a look at some results from races in South Carolina. We'll have a look at Greenville County contests and more election analysis in just a few minutes.
We continue to follow breaking news this morning. Donald Trump is the president-elect in the 2024 presidential race.
He will be joined in the new administration by his vice president, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Trump is slated to become only the second U.S. president to serve terms that did not come back to back. At 6:14, we are turning now to South Carolina's 4th District, including a majority of Greenville and Spartanburg counties.
Our projected winner in that race is Republican incumbent William Timmons, challenged by Democrat Catherine Harvey and Constitution candidate Mark Hackett. You can see on your screen here, Congressman Timmons getting 60% of the vote, Catherine Harvey getting 37% of the vote, Mark Hackett getting 3%.
Our Jane Robelo reports from Spartanburg County.
Representative William Timmons really appreciating that big voter support that sends him to Washington for a 4th consecutive term in the U.S. Congress. He joined supporters and fellow GOP candidates at Holiday Brewing in Enman right after the polls closed. This is where the Spartanburg County GOP held their watch party. It was very important for the congressman to come here to thank these folks since Spartanburg gave him his primary win over Adam Morgan. And on election night, he thanked them for the general election win.
Hey, we are so excited that the 4th Congressional District has given us their trust yet again. It is an honor and privilege to serve. I've been fighting in Washington for the upstate for 6 years, and we're going to keep fighting for the next 2 years. I got to tell you, I'm so excited about the potential that President Trump's back in the White House, that we have the Senate, and that we have the House. We're going to work hard to really save the American dream, to breathe life into the American dream. The last 4 years have been hard for all of us, whether it's inflation, whether it is the economy, whether it's energy prices, whether it's the southern border. Whatever has been the #1 issue for you, we're going to work hard to solve those problems for you and to really save the American dream and get our country back on track. And I just want to say it's an honor to serve, and we're going to keep fighting for the upstate. And thank you for your support.
And Representative Timmons says he will work with House Democrats to try and solve some of the biggest issues that are facing Americans, the deficit, the immigration crisis, and also health care. In Enman, Jane Robelo, WYFF News 4.
And staying in the 4th Congressional District, our Gabrielle Komorowski was following Democratic challenger Catherine Harvey and has this report from Spartanburg.
Catherine Harvey said despite a loss, this race is proof that the upstate is ready for change. The Democrats saying they will continue to fight until seats flip. Harvey, who has been the chair of the Spartanburg County Democratic Party since 2022, had called this race a fight for women and families and reproductive freedoms. And her message to supporters and to William Timmons was, "We are not going anywhere."
We ran an aggressive but clean campaign. That was very important because people need to know how that can be done up here and it can start to make a movement. That was critical for us. We held our 3-term congressmen accountable at every single turn. And that doesn't stop. My hope is that he shows up and better represents all of us after this.
Harvey said the goal remains to remember the best interests of the people of this rapidly growing district. She said it has been an honor to be in this race. In Spartanburg, Gabrielle Komorowski, WYFF News 4.
In Greenville County, only 2 races were contested for county council.
Districts 22 and 24 were on the ballot. We begin with District 22 seat. Republican Frank Farmer beat out Democrat Corrine DeBatey, and Farmer took home 60% of the vote.
Our Taniqua Penix joins us live from Greenville this morning with more from the winner. Good morning, Taniqua.
Well, good morning, Aaron and Destiny. Farmer's win means he will fill the seat of outgoing Stan Chouvalakis. Now, during his campaign, Farmer said he will increase security and he wants to improve infrastructure by adding funds to the roads. Farmer talks about his vision for the next 4 years.
We'd love to reduce the taxes from this last tax increase. I think we are going to have a surplus, so that means that there's a place to cut back on.
And for District 24, Liz Seaman easily beat out her opponent and won re-election. We'll talk more about her vision coming up in the next half hour. And Greenville City Council will look different in the next 4 years as there are some new faces. For now, reporting live in Greenville County, Taniqua Penix, WYFF News 4.
Taniqua, thank you. Greenville County voters also had the chance to decide on a 1% sales tax increase to raise money for road improvements. Our Isabel Mark joins us live in Greenville this morning with what the voters decided. Isabel?
Aaron, also known as the penny sales tax by many here in the county, the measure would have gone towards repairing 1,400 roads here in Greenville County. We're currently on Airport Road at the Lawrence intersection, and this is just one of those many roads there on the list. Now let's take a look at the actual ballot referendum. The text said, must a special 1% sales and use tax be imposed in Greenville County for not more than 8 years to raise money for road improvements. And now this is a slim margin here, with 100% of the county reporting that 51% are not in favor of the measure. And a special commission said that it could have raised about $1 billion to improve roads here in Greenville County. But again, that measure did not pass yesterday. Reporting live in Greenville, I'm Isabel Marek for WYFF News 4.
Isabel, thank you. Remember, you can find results for national, state, and local races right now on WYFF4.com and on our WYFF4 mobile app.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Many of you waking up to find some patchy fog outside. And when you step outside, you're going to notice it's a little bit warmer than it has been as well. So visibility is down. It will be down until about 9 o'clock in the morning. So for another few hours here. So you might want to leave a little bit early. We've also got some rainfall. We'll take a look at that in a second. Let's get you updated on the tropics. Hurricane Rafael still projected to move across Cuba, make landfall there, potentially briefly become a Category 2 storm before dying down as it moves a little further into the Gulf of Mexico. Still wanting to shift more westward, maybe out toward Louisiana or Texas. Still not a great deal of certainty just yet, but the hurricane reconnaissance aircraft still flies in a couple of times a day. So we continue to get updated information, and we'll pass that along to you as we go. Notice the direction of the clouds, by the way. Do you see that they're moving in from the south? That's what's giving us that moisture, that fog, that humidity, and that warmth. So what we need to do is cut that off. How do we do that? We've got to get winds from the north. How does that happen? Well, one sure way is for a cool front to come through. And as you can see, that is on the way. As we take a look a little bit closer here, some of us will start off the morning with partly cloudy skies. We'll quickly get into more clouds than anything. We're also getting some patchy drizzle out there right now for a few of us. As we go into the afternoon, we'll see a little bit more of that patchy drizzle. But I think for most of us, not everybody gets wet, but for most of us, the heaviest amounts of rain come in tonight and during the overnight hours as well. And some of those linger into tomorrow morning. So here we go. Even tomorrow afternoon, we could still see some of those spotty showers. Right here, not very well defined, but this is our cool front I just showed you. So once it gets closer to home, not going to have a lot of rainfall with it, but it will push some of the clouds, some of that humidity out of here and get us back to north winds, meaning as we look ahead to Saturday, Sunday, temperatures will fall into the 60s. So here we go. As we go into tomorrow, if you are going to be traveling, that blob of rain does quickly move to the east across the Midlands and moving into the low country. So you'll be kind of running into rain if you're heading to the east. But as we go into Friday, look at that. Fall for Greenville kicks off Friday. It'll be all weekend. We'll be out there, by the way. Channel 4 has a booth. We'll be giving away free swag. More importantly, if you're out there, we just want to meet you, make eye contact with you. Stop by, say hello, please. We'd love to do that. As we take a look at Monday, here's Veterans Day, another cold front coming through. It's going to bring back those north winds. Tuesday looks to be a nice day, but then as we get toward the end of next week, we have the chance for widespread soaking rain and a more significant cool down for next weekend, but it's still too early to tell. Just something else we're watching. In the meantime, it's going to be mild today, low to mid 70s, about 10 degrees above normal. We finally shake off the 70s, get back into the 60s for Saturday, Sunday, before our next batch of rain late Sunday into Veterans Day. Destiny?
Perella, pay attention and slow down. 2 words of advice I have for my drivers out there headed out on the roads this Wednesday morning, as it is foggy out there in much of our area, as Perella has been saying throughout the morning. I know Aaron and I, we saw that on our commute here, or I should say my commute here, because he stayed the night working that election coverage there. Taking a look at our screen, it is Highway 14 at Spartanburg County. Clear commute for you, and your travel times look great. Green and good to go. I-240 to Asheville Highway, 11 minutes, now 12 minutes. Airport Road to Woodruff Road is 6 minutes, and Fairview Road to downtown, you're looking at a 13-minute drive.
Well, Halloween may have been last week, but who doesn't enjoy a spooky pumpkin patch, especially with the fog out there this morning? I think it'll make you smile. It's coming up next.
And our Commitment 2024 coverage continues. Right now, you're getting a look at some results from statewide races in North Carolina. Furman University political analyst Brent Nelson joins us again in our next half hour.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It's time for today's Perella's Pals. Look at this. I know Halloween was last week, but I mean, how can you not smile? Even the ghosts are smiling. I mean, I think it would be okay to be haunted if the ghost were this friendly. Keith Williams, Calhoun Academy of the Arts. Are you kidding me? 5th grade. I love the pumpkins. These colors, I'm telling you, this belongs on the cover of a magazine or a children's book somewhere. This is absolutely gorgeous and a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Keith. If you at home know a talented kid, we are the venue. We want to help you show it off. Just go to our website, scroll down the menu page to Perella's Pals. We will do our best to show off these talented kids Monday through Friday around 6:25 each morning.
Live, local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 today.
Women's reproductive rights. The economy, more than anything.
Border's huge for me.
I want our country to heal. I want to move past this.
Cornerstone issues driving massive voter turnout across the nation.
An election that may take a while to tally, looking strong for Republicans.
NBC News is projecting Donald Trump as the 47th president of the United States with a win in Wisconsin. Trump cleared the 270 electoral votes needed to clinch the presidency.
President-elect Trump is said to become the first Republican to secure the popular vote in 20 years since George W. Bush did it back in 2004. Trump's path to the presidency became clearer as he clinched crucial swing states, including North Carolina and Georgia in our viewing area. An extraordinary comeback for a former president who refused to accept defeat 4 years ago, was convicted of felony charges, and also survived 2 assassination attempts.
Right now, we're taking a live look from the U.S. Capitol at the moment. NBC News is projecting Republicans will win control of the Senate. The last time the Republican Party took control of the Senate was in 2021. The Republican Party push to gain control on election night started when West Virginia Republican Governor Jim Justice was projected to pick up the Senate seat. Then in Ohio, 3-term Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown was projected to lose his re-election bid. Meanwhile, Florida Senator Rick Scott and Texas Senator Ted Cruz both won their re-election bids.
And again, if you're just tuning in this morning, we know NBC News projecting Donald Trump will be the president-elect of the United States with 277, as of right now, 277 electoral votes.
Beating out Vice President Kamala Harris there. Political analyst Brent Nelson from Furman University is joining us again this morning. Brent, you know, overperformance, that's one of the key words from overnight and this morning with Trump. How can you tell us that he pulled this off?
Well, I don't think the polls picked this up. Once again, Donald Trump outperforms the polls. Now, it's still a closely divided country, and the polls weren't entirely wrong. They were within the margin of error in most of these states. But the country really shifted to the right. And we don't have a disputed election as far as we can tell right now, which is good for American democracy to have an election that people trust. And going forward, that is a positive sign. And clearly the American people have spoken. They had a choice of 2 different directions, and they chose one. And that's also encouraging. Whether you're a Harris supporter or a Trump supporter, as an American, you want the people to express their will. You want the person who is in the White House to have the consent of the governed. And that's what elections are all about. And the American people have spoken. And now we've got 4 years of Donald Trump back in the White House. And it should be a good ride. Buckle up, folks. It's going to be fun.
Let's talk about the Democrats, though. You know, President Biden dropped out in July, rather. Vice President Kamala Harris jumped in about 100 days there, give or take, to campaign. Do you feel, and I know we can dissect this later as we go on, but do you feel the Democrats might regret putting Vice President Harris in there, maybe having Biden instead?
Oh, I don't think so. I really don't think this is going to be on Harris. She ran, as far as anyone can tell, a very good campaign. But I don't know that she had a message that was resonating with Americans. They wanted change. She said she was a change candidate, but she was pretty tied to the current president. And so I think Trump's message of change was just more attractive to more people. And I also think that the Democrats have a problem with being the elite party. And they don't seem to be, I think we're seeing tonight, or this morning, that they don't have quite the connection with a lot of, ordinary Americans. And they're going to have to rethink their policy positions and really just their image. So I think it's going to be a long 4 years for Democrats, and but they'll come back. We have two strong parties, and the Democrats will be back again too. But they will adjust, and we'll see that over the next 4 years.
All right, political expert Britt Nelson with Furman University there. Thank you so much for checking in with you. We'll continue to check back in as we get more results in throughout the morning. At 6:35 this morning, right now, let's take a live look outside with our Hilton Greenville Skycam this morning. You can barely see it because it's foggy out there, 65 degrees. Thanks for waking up with us.
A little bit of a spooky look on this Wednesday, at least traffic flowing smoothly there. Let's check on the weather this morning. Perla Lewis is here with our live Super Doppler for Impact Day forecast. Perla?
Yeah, hey, good morning. Let's take a look. Some of that fog clearing up a little bit in Greenville, so visibility now about 2 miles, as you just saw with that Skycam. It's down, though, quite a bit in Spartanburg. Visibility less than half a mile in Lawrence and Gaffney and Pickens as well. And in Abbeville, less than a mile. Greenwood, about half a mile for you. It's going to take until about 9 o'clock until some of that clears up. So just kind of a heads up. And that means our reaction time is a little bit slower. So if you were up all night watching some of those election results come in, you might be a little bit more tired today. So this is a good morning to maybe leave a little bit sooner, especially with some of that fog. And for some of us, a little bit of rainfall as well. Most of the rain is pretty light, isolated, anything from mist to just a few light showers out there right now. As we go into later tonight, I think that's when some of the rainfall really begins to kind of come into play, but it's still going to be warm out there. In fact, it's warm outside right now. You step outside, it's warm, it's muggy, it's foggy too for many of us, but low to mid 70s is where we're going to top out today. That is about 10 degrees above normal again, but some of that rainfall coming in late tonight and tomorrow will help to cool us down a little bit. Better chances of that by the weekend. A lot more details on the 60s coming back in just a little while. Right now, let's get you outside, get a check on those roads. Destiny.
Hey, bro, let's see how the Impact Day are impacting our roads at 6:36 this morning. Here's a live look from our SCDOT camera in Anderson County. I-85 south at Clemson Boulevard. You're looking at a clear drive for you if you are headed out on the roads, but just be sure to slow down and leave early if you can. Let's check a look at those travel times as well. I-240 to Asheville Highway should take you 12 minutes. Airport to Woodruff Road, 7 minutes. Fairview Road to downtown, 13. All three have been holding steady throughout our morning.
It's 6:37 in the race for U.S. House District 3. Incumbent Jeff Duncan did not run again, leaving his seat to be filled.
Our projected winner is Republican Sherry Biggs. She faced off with Democrat Brian Best and Alliance Party candidate Michael Biedenbaugh.
Our Nate Stanley reports from Anderson County with her first priority once she's in Washington.
There was an excited and energetic crowd in downtown Anderson where Sherry Biggs officially gave her campaign speech around 8 p.m. last night. She took time to thank her campaign team, her family, and of course, the voters of South Carolina. She tells us that she wants to fix a, quote, emotional and spiritual deficiency in our country and thinks winning this election, she can do so in Washington, D.C. We asked her what her plan was when she gets there.
I'm sticking to the same platform. I'm concerned about the crisis at the border and all that entails bringing in illegals and our economy. People are struggling right now, and we've got to get things back on track.
And Sherry Biggs says that she doesn't have too much time to rest this morning. She says she will be up early for a breakfast for veterans. Reporting in Anderson County, Nate Stanley, WYFF News 4.
Well, here's a look at the results from several mayoral races in the Carolinas. More weather and traffic are up next.
Good morning, everyone. 6:41 as we get you right out to the tropics with Hurricane Rafael is a Category 1 hurricane. We still have winds of 90 miles per hour. Here's Cuba. It's going to make it over Cuba, technically make landfall, possibly briefly become a Category 2, and then start to weaken as it moves a little further into the Gulf of Mexico. We'll put our spaghetti models on it. Most want to bring it potentially out toward Louisiana, but you could see as it starts to kind of merge that way. It's hard to tell, but if you look really carefully at these lines or these models, it shows it really kind of losing steam. But nonetheless, we'll continue to track it and keep you updated. Continuing to get some clouds from the south, and that's bringing in some moisture. That's bringing in the warm air, the fog, that isolated rain that's out there right now. This right here, the cool front, it's got a lot of rain associated with it at the moment, but it comes through our area tomorrow afternoon, and it's going to lose steam, but it will hold on to that wind shift. So we'll stop those winds from the south, and all of this humidity pouring in, we'll get back to north wind. So a drier air begins to work into the forecast as we get into the weekend. As we take a look outside, Cullowhee, Hendersonville, Asheville, you got a little bit of rain out there at the moment. As we go into late tonight and into early tomorrow morning, that's when the bulk of the rain will fall. Not everybody gets wet, but I think that's when the most rain will fall for some of us. As we take a look at tomorrow morning, even into the mid-morning, a few spotty showers are possible. As we go into the afternoon, we'll see a few more as well. It's hard to see this, but this is our cool front that I just showed you. So again, by the time it gets to us, it's not going to have a lot of rain with it, but as it pushes through late tomorrow afternoon and evening, it's going to kind of slowly erode away at some of that extra humidity and do away with some of the clouds. We'll still have a mix of sun and clouds on Friday, but it's going to be a nice day to kick off the weekend. As we take another look, now if you're traveling on Thursday, the bulk of rain that comes in late tonight and early tomorrow morning starts to kind of meander to the east. So if you are traveling east, you're going to run into really more rain, I think, than even what we will see here. But here's Friday. I mean, not too bad at all. We're going to have those north winds funneling in. Not going to be wall-to-wall sun. We're still going to have that sun and cloud mix off and on throughout the weekend. By Sunday evening, we'll start to see our rain chances go up. And here's our next cool front, by the way. This comes through on Monday, which is Veterans Day. I feel like every year we either have overcast conditions or we get some rainfall. Well, we have that chance again this year. But then here comes those north winds again behind that, drying us out for Tuesday. As we take a look at our temperatures, about 10 degrees above normal. The 70s are back. They do not want to leave. We get the 60s back to the seasonal average back for 48 hours, Saturday and Sunday. That's going to be about it. We'll warm back up, but then maybe a more significant cool down next weekend. We shall see. Aaron, how are the roads right now?
Well, we have some breaking traffic news we're following at 6:44. You're looking live at I-85 South near US 29. That's exit 66 at the Walford exit. That's a crash on the southbound side. We're not sure which lanes are closed just yet. SCDOT saying unknown lanes closed at this time. But if you are headed that way, 85 southbound near Walford, do leave 5 or 10 minutes early. Our travel times overall, they look good. I-240 to Asheville Highway, 12 minutes. Airport to Woodruff Road, 6 minutes. Fairview Road to downtown, 14 minutes.
Well, a referendum on the ballot comes down to a split decision as upstate leaders say it's the only option to address infrastructure issues.
Your time 6:47 and time for news to go. We have a look at today's top news stories, traffic and weather, all before you head out the door.
We start with Amy Lou in our Washington Bureau tracking the presidential race with results from the Associated Press.
We have been following the Associated Press, which has now declared Trump as the winner. He also made that claim earlier this morning.
Every single day I will be fighting for you, and with every breath in my body, I will not rest until we have delivered the strong, safe, and prosperous America that our children deserve and that you deserve.
Looking at the electoral map, Trump's count stands at 277, Harris at 224, putting Trump just over that 270 benchmark after winning Wisconsin. Trump is also leading the popular vote by several million, something he's never won in his 2 previous runs for the presidency. The candidates' perspective watch parties taking on different tones overnight. A party at Trump headquarters in West Palm Beach, Florida, while supporters at Harris headquarters here in Washington, D.C. went home early after the campaign announced she would not be speaking until later today.
We still have votes to count. We still have states that have not been called yet. We will continue overnight to fight to make sure that every vote is counted. that every voice has spoken.
Trump is poised to be the first president after Grover Cleveland to win non-consecutive presidential terms. At the White House, I'm Amy Lowe.
Well, several states are preparing for potential election-related violence. At least 245 National Guard personnel across 18 states and Washington, D.C. have been activated on standby. That includes North Carolina. Authorities say many of the personnel are helping with cybersecurity efforts, while others are assisting law enforcement and first responders in case of protests or other security incidents. According to an NPR poll, released Monday, 72% of likely voters said they were concerned about violence as a result of the election.
The Republican Party has won control of the Senate. There were GOP wins in a handful of key races, ensuring the new majority and flipping party control of the upper chamber. Republicans last won a majority in the Senate back in 2018, before Democrats went on to secure a narrow majority in the two most recent elections. Both parties remain locked in a tight battle for control of the House of Representatives.
6:49 is your time.
In Greenville County, two races were contested for county council.
We're both just excited to tell you the news this morning about Commitment 2024 for all of the candidates here. Republican Liz Seaman held on to her District 24 seat. She easily won re-election, beating out Constitution candidate John Langville by more than 80% of the votes. Our Taniqua Penix is joining us live from Greenville with more from the winner.
Seaman has represented District 24 County Council since 2008, and she was recently elected vice chair on the council. Seaman talks about her priorities for the next 4 years.
I will just continue to work hard, continue to think about things like public safety, like infrastructure, our roads, affordable housing, transportation, green space, economic development, things that I've been working on since I first got elected in 2008.
And this council will look different, as there are 4 new faces starting next year. Reporting live in Greenville County, Taniqua Penix, WYFF News 4.
Well, thank you, Taniqua. As we take a look outside, we still have some patchy dense fog. Visibility improving a little bit in Greenville and in Anderson, even in Clemson. However, in Pickens, visibility is still less than a half a mile, about the same in Gaffney and Union and Lawrence. So still some of that patchy dense fog out there. Should start to clear up by 9 o'clock or so for most of us. As we take a look, we're also getting anything from a couple sprinkles to a few light showers out there right now. It is a live Super Doppler 4 impact day because of some rainfall coming our way. I think most of that will be later tonight and during the overnight, but still not everybody's going to get wet. Not everyone's going to see some rainfall with this system, but it is going to be warmer for everyone, about 10 degrees above normal as we get back into the low and mid 70s. We'll take a look at your 4-day plus, which includes the weekend and Veterans Day as well. I'll have the latest on that for you coming up in just a little while. First, let's get you outside, get a check of traffic.
We do have some breaking traffic news to report. Barella, we are tracking 3 crashes at the moment, one in Greenville, one in Welford, and this one we're taking a live look right now from our SCDOT camera in Duncan. This is I-85 South at mile marker 64. The left lane of traffic there is closed. If you are headed at I-85 South at mile marker 64, leave extra early this morning and slow down because the fog is intense out there this morning. Let's take a look at those travel times as well. I-240 to Asheville Highway, 12 minutes. A 6-minute drive for Airport to Woodruff Road. Fairview Road to downtown should take you 13 minutes.
Greenville County voters had the chance to decide on a 1% sales tax increase to raise money for road improvements.
That's right. Our Isabel Mark is joining us live in Greenville with what voters decided.
Destiny, good morning. It's also known as the penny sales tax, which would have gone towards repairing hundreds of roads here in Greenville County. Now let's take a look at that ballot referendum. It said, must a special 1% sales and use tax be imposed in Greenville County for not more than 8 years to raise money for road improvements? And this here is a slim margin, with 100% of the county reporting a majority of 51% are not in favor of the measure. And a special commission estimated that if it had passed, it could have raised upwards of $1 billion to repair roads here in the county. But yet again, that did not pass here in Greenville County. Reporting live in Greenville, I'm Isabel Marek for WYFF News 4.
Isabel, thank you. Let's get back to Furman University political science expert Brent Nelson, who's joining us again right now.
Yeah, Brent, what do voters need to hear from President-elect Trump and Vice President Harris?
Well, from President-elect Trump, it's hard to say that right now, graciousness and a message of unity. From Kamala Harris, a concession. We didn't have that in 2020. And then Traditionally, the person who concedes then pledges support for the next president, and that brings the country together. That's the way it should happen, and I think that's exactly what Kamala Harris will do.
All right. Anything else you'd like to add before we go?
I think it's a surprise that we're done. You know, we thought we might be till Saturday morning, so thank all of those people who made lots of good changes over the last 4 years in all the states so that ballots were counted fast and accurately. So I think it's a good night for American democracy.
All right, thank you, Britt Nelson, and thank you all too. Up next, we're going to have one last look at some weather and traffic.
Yeah, stick with us. We'll be right back.
At 6:56, let's get a final check of the roads.
Yeah, we're following this breaking traffic news. 385 north at exit 36A at I-85 north in Greenville. There's a crash there with one lane closed, so be mindful of that. Traffic times overall look good, though, in the green at 11 minutes, 7 minutes, and 13 minutes. Well,
at least visibility is clearing up there in Greenville County, which is good. We do have some patchy dense fog, though, all across the upstate, so keep that in mind. Probably won't clear out until about 9 o'clock or so. We've got a few stray showers at the moment. Most are dry. We'll get into some of the rainfall really late tonight and into early tomorrow morning. That helps usher in slightly cooler air dropping into the 60s as we go into Saturday and Sunday.
We're going to be doing weather and news cut-ins from now until noon every single hour, so you can stay up to the date on everything, including our breaking news this morning.
yeah, we leave you the live look at the White House following our breaking news this morning. Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States. Stick with us all throughout the morning.